Hi, everyone. It is 9:30 where I'm at on the West Coast, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you for joining us today. I will do a little bit of webinar etiquette. We have everyone muted. We do have some time reserved towards the end of our session today to go over questions answered. If you have any questions, please use the chat box in the webinar window, and then my colleague Carly will review those towards the end. So let's get started. Today, we're going to do a quick introduction of our digital team here at Zuri Group, dive into the focus of today's conversation, which is Luminate Online, give you a little bit of our background in the space, some of the cool things that we've done using the tool. The focus of today's conversation will be some hidden gems. So we call these the little nooks and crannies of Luminate that you may have otherwise not known about or forgotten about. Sometimes they're overlooked, but they're really powerful in kind of curating your fundraising strategies. Then we'll dive into our expert access program and show you some examples of some solutions that we've created for other organizations that really amplify their use of the tool. I mentioned before, we have some space towards the end for question and answers. And then we also are going to open kind of a suggestion box. So we want this to be interactive in a way where after you leave the session today, you feel comfortable reaching out to us and letting us know some of the areas that you struggle with in Luminate so we can help you through those spaces. After today, I hope you feel trusting that you chose the right e-fundraising solution. Some of you may have been using the tool for years. Some of you might be new. Some of you might not even use it yet. But I want you to feel confident in the capabilities of Luminate. I tend to call it a powerful tool, but with power comes a little bit of a learning curve. I hope you feel confidence in your future of Luminate Online and that these hidden gems will really kind of encourage you to expand the use and expand the space that Luminate takes up in your e-fundraising system. And excitement for your next campaign. So I get excited when I talk through some of these, and I think they can really amplify any campaign. And so I think you'll see that as well as we progress. We're going to spend just a moment here and introduce ourselves. So I am Margaret. I'm the Director of Digital Services here at Zuri Group. I've been working on Luminate for many years. I consider myself an expert in the system. I help a lot of our clients really learn the ins and outs of the tool, some of the things we'll touch on today. And we've also created a lot of custom solutions with using Luminate as a foundation. I think those custom solutions, custom has kind of an interesting weight to the word, but they really help expand the use of the tool or overcome some system limitations to really amplify your fundraising efforts. Molly?
Yeah, hi, I'm Molly Kelly. I'm president of Digital with Zuri Group, and they invited me to come and just smile and cheer everyone on and tell you about a little bit more both about what we do and kind of the cool ways that we've extended Luminate. I run our technology team as well as the fundraising strategy group, and we've really found ways over the years to kind of extend the power using methods that Blackbaud has provided for us, like the APIs and your imagination.
And Carly.
And hey, everyone, I'm Carly Samuelson. I am a senior consultant and fundraising strategist here at Zuri Group. My background actually is working in development for nonprofit organizations of all sizes on the local and national level. And I love being here at Zuri Group because I get to sit beside some very, very smart, fantastic people that know a lot about technology and really work with our clients to make sure that you are maximizing your use of your technology and really doing things that are smart in your system so that at the end of the day, you guys can do what you do best, which is build great relationships and raise money for your super important mission. So I'm excited to join y'all today, and let's dive in.
Oh, excuse me, I said I was the cheerleader. No, Carly's the cheerleader.
I like the energy.
Yeah. So I promised you, and I know you couldn't wait until I got started, but I'll tell you just a little bit about Zuri Group and what we do. I know you couldn't help but wait, but we are a fundraising and technology company, and we've been serving the nonprofit community for over 12 years. Now, we're kind of unique in the space in the sense that we do strategy for your fundraising operations and your donor databases, as well as that we do digital fundraising and marketing strategy. We're also, on the other side, do the delivery. So not only working with your team to come up with that plan, but we can help you implement that plan and to succeed with your current technology tools. Expand your reach also by implementing cutting edge technology through integration paired on, and that's digital or data integration combined with your efforts. And we have a bunch of things we're going to talk about later, but that's what we do. We just kind of threw one of these up here. We've worked with a lot of leading organizations in a lot of different verticals in the space. So hospitals, higher ed, as well as the disease and animal welfare as well. So just a few of our clients on the screen.
Yeah, and to Molly's point too, we consider ourselves system agnostic. So the focus of today's conversation will be on Luminate, but we've helped a number of organizations through many different technologies. And today, like I said, we're going to dive into Luminate. We have done quite a bit of work in Luminate. I would say it's really amplified over the past few years, especially since since Sphere was sunsetted. We found so many more organizations were jumping over to Luminate, and the tool is so powerful. We've done everything from system selections that have landed on Luminate Online to complex implementations, integrations between Luminate and database, and then some, like Molly mentioned, some customizations through the API. We've also done some really creative strategies using Luminate as the foundation. We created an evergreen team raiser model to really support true DIY fundraising. We've also implemented email deliverability strategies and tactics to really support your engagement strategies and your outreach. And now we'll dive into some of those hidden gems that we mentioned earlier. We are working kind of in parallel to a blog series. So we did launch a blog a couple of days ago about team raiser and updating the hero image and really understanding the Luminate language through S tags. And so I think over the next few days or few weeks, you'll see some of those additional kind of help articles pop up. And I think that those complement the pieces that we'll talk to today. The first hidden gem is the welcome series. So as soon as I start the conversation around Luminate Online to new organizations or people who are new to the system, I say, did you know you already have a welcome series in there? Blackbaud and their initial implementation will provide you with a 3-part series that allows you to schedule recurring mailings to go out to new constituents. How you define new can be up to you, but I believe that the pre-existing new definition is anyone who's entered the system, so a new constituent record. The series, as it's currently set, targets people 7 and 14 and 21 days after they've entered the system, whether it be through you adding them to the system or through submitting a form. They just have a fresh constituent record. So the biggest piece when I open the conversation about welcome series and that you already have one, everyone wants to know where it is. So if you locate your query module in Luminate, you'll see that you have 3 pre-built queries, welcome series 1, 2, and 3. If you open those queries, you'll see the same logic that we just expanded on. Anyone who's entered the system X amount of days before today. Those queries feed reusable groups. So if you navigate over to your group module in Luminate, you'll see welcome series 1, 2, and 3. And then the little exclamation point next to it means that it's being rebuilt. These specific groups are being rebuilt daily. So what that means is anyone who enters the system 7 days ago today will be captured in this group number 2 today. And then tomorrow they will actually exit the group and the group will be rebuilt with anyone who's entered the system 7 days before tomorrow. From your groups, you can then navigate over to your email module and you'll see this nice campaign that's called Welcome Series. And when you open that campaign, you'll see message 1, 2, and 3. Now, I love that Blackbaud, presets your account with this because I think the complexities of setting it up can be a little bit overwhelming at first. Like I said, it's a powerful tool. There's a lot of information back there. But what you can do is take a look at the messaging in these preset emails and change it to be unique to you. And then when you're ready to, you would simply schedule these mailings to go on a recurring basis to their corresponding group. So as the mailing goes out every day, it will capture the rebuildable group. The group will rebuild at the time of sending, so it won't double send to anyone. And then it'll do the same thing tomorrow. So it will be moving on an ongoing basis, essentially working for you, which I think is really fun. The welcome series is really the foundation to marketing automation. Marketing automation is a really big selling point to Luminate. It's something that you can set up series, like I said, that work for you, that it's kind of set up and leave aside. And I think the initial investment, which is your time and strategy, to getting some of these series set up is really powerful. So up here we have a couple other examples. So welcome series aside, we could do something about donor journey automation. So a year after you've made your first gift, an anniversary email. So being able to set up a series that targets people based off of their donation. Personalization, so any data that we capture, we can really build a series against. Active account management, this one's one of my favorites. So we talked about strategies around email deliverability, and we worked with a lot of organizations to make sure that their messages are getting out and at the top of people's inboxes. We've also built automations that allow you to kind of track that and make sure that, confirm that everything is going exactly where it's intended to go. And your post-donation actions. So rather than following up a year after your first gift or something like that, really honing in on what action do we want someone to take after they've made a gift. Is it like us on Facebook or sign up for our newsletter, attend an event, something like that. So these are a few example series where we can use that ammo from the welcome series, the preset welcome series, to kind of restructure other automations. Carly, did you want to expand on anything in the welcome series? I know Carly thinks of more of the creative aspect, the communication piece of the series, and I kind of think more of the technical side of things.
I do, you do. So I, just like a lot of you on the call, use technology a lot to work for me and with me in my job as a fundraiser. And this hidden gem number one, the welcome series, is a slam dunk of a gem that if you're not using, you should probably consider starting right away. I'm curious and I like a little interaction. So if you could just go over to chat and pop into the chat and say, we use the welcome series, or, oh my gosh, this is a brand new thing I didn't know it possible. I'm really curious to see how our audience uses this. But for those who have not dove into the brilliance of a welcome series, let me spend 2 seconds on it because I love talking about automation. The welcome series is your opportunity to share your story with any new constituent. There's so many statistics online about how donation potential doubles, triples, quadruples, goes to the sky's the limits once you show gratitude to your donors. And even though you think every organization is probably doing this and doing this well, I don't necessarily think that's the case. And so this tool gives you the ability to bring your new supporter on a journey. And the journey is through your work. So with the three-part series, you get to do a bunch of things. One is introduce your supporter to the organization. Tell them what you do, tell them your impact, how they are, how their dollars affect your mission. Then you can kind of slide into a communication that talks about personal stories or maybe why the organization is important to that person. But the main reason I love a welcome series is that after a certain amount of time, your donor is just going to kind of sit there and think, what can I do next? Not quite ready to maybe make another donation, but I really like this organization. Your welcome series, one part of your welcome series can be completely dedicated to other ways to get involved. Follow us on social media, sign up for our newsletter, participate as a peer-to-peer fundraiser, dedicate your birthday. The list goes on and on. So again, I cannot stress how important and awesome a welcome series is. And it's definitely something that if you're using Luminate and you want an opportunity to use your technology to work smarter, not harder, here it is. Awesome. Thanks, Margaret.
Love that. Yeah, it's really cool. I love the marketing automation flow. So I think this next one, which is the admin dashboard, is something that kind of complements our automated series by way of showing us data around our constituent engagement. So the admin dashboard is a really fun hidden gem to keep in your back pocket. It really allows you to provide data visualization right in Luminate. And I know sometimes people will come to me and they struggle with getting reports out or scheduling reports and really just getting that real-time data visibility. And so I think the admin dashboard or advanced admin dashboard will really help in providing that. So when you first log into Luminate, this is probably what most of you see. This entire homepage can be customized. And I'll give you another visual of an example. So right now it's really used for kind of quick links and navigation. Sometimes you'll see a pop-up for a release coming soon or maintenance, which I think is really helpful. But this version of the admin dashboard really shows us what is going on with our constituents by way of Luminate Online. So if you locate your page builder page, it's called admin homepage. That's what's feeding this beautiful display right here. So you can actually create a new version of that page and add different reports or data visualization modules to the new page and publish that new version. And what you'll see here are, you can do quick links or announcements and messages. Hey, we're closed on Monday, President's Day, or reminder, launch campaign on Friday, something like that. You can have saved reports, so links over to saved reports, or you can actually have the visualization right here on the dashboard. So you can see in some of these circle graphs, which look pretty healthy right now. It's giving us insight into different areas of Luminate. If you go over to the page builder admin homepage, you'll see the list menu of the different preset reports that you can add, or you can create custom reports or custom content and feed it into that page as well. This is one of my favorites for really tracking different campaigns. A good example too of really amplifying this space is to create different versions of the page builder page for different reasons. So create almost different dashboards for different reasons. One might be year-end giving. You really want to focus on your year-end email campaign. So the modules or the widgets on that dashboard might look a little bit different than the springtime. But being able to log in, quickly see the health of your house file or your recent email sends and the performance of those pieces without having to pull up separate reports, I think is really valuable.
Totally. Thinking of this hidden gem and knowing how long I've worked in Luminate, and when we do some work in other systems, one of the things that I find as a fundraiser and as a strategist super important is to quickly see that the health of your data, the health of your campaign, how things are running. And I think that this gem gives you a really, really great a way to show it. Who doesn't love data visualization? I mean, it is one of my favorite things because it allows me to go in and really get that full look right away. And so, I also think that this is a great tool because you can allow certain fundraiser or certain types of staff, certain levels of involvement to see different things based on what they need. So for example, when I worked at a large nonprofit, my boss wanted to see daily stats of what was going on. And with a quick data visualization, I was able to constantly show her and provide her updates. Here's where we are today. Here's where we were yesterday. Here's where we were last year. So, having a one-stop shop for all of this quick data really, really makes a job as a fundraiser a lot easier. Because again, this is using your technology smarter, not harder. So instead of pulling reports and queries and getting all the data and pulling together a big report that you can share with your staff or with your boss and with your management, it's right here, all in a visual journey. So excited for that.
I love that. Yeah, and the cool part of something that really sparks interest with me is you can have different data sets on one page. So you can track your email click-throughs and the performance of the donation form that email was pointing to all in one space. So if you really are trying to run a focused campaign where you can, make data-driven pivots anytime you need or when you're not seeing the results that you're expecting, I think creating this dashboard for that specific initiative is really helpful. Another piece that I'm sure some of you are thinking is this, is it one dashboard for everyone who logs into Luminate? Technically, yes. But through dynamic content, we can actually hide or show different content items or different quick links or reports or messaging for different user types. So if you have someone who's a gift manager and really wants to focus on how many recurring gift sales we had today, making sure that that information is front and center for that person when they log in is easy through dynamic content. So the next one is tasks. I hope that most people in this virtual room today have explored the task module. However, I find that a lot of people haven't. So what are tasks? I think they mean many different things based off of the context. But in Luminate, I call them actionable queries or easy complex queries, which I know probably just sounds crazy. But you can use tasks for a variety of things. Tasks really provide you a layer on top of a complex query module that lets you dive in deep to different data sets in Luminate. I'll show you the list of the tasks that are provided, or the type of tasks, and you'll see that it really comes in different flavors. But these tasks really provide us the ability to hone in on certain audiences and then engage them or change them or watch our house file health, things like that. So what you can see up on the screen now are the task lists. And judging just by the description, you can see it covers a wide range of areas. Some tasks are really intended for managing the internal health of your Luminate account. Some tasks are for re-engaging unengaged supporters. And then some tasks are for TeamRaiser. So I really encourage you to get in here and kind of read through the different task options. But some examples of how we've used tasks in the past are engagement factors. This is another big reason why organizations move to Luminate Online, using these engagement factors, being able to measure how engaged or unengaged someone is with our organization. These engagement factors are actually fed through the email response rate segmentation task. And the example that you're seeing up on the screen is actually the transaction information from my constituent record. So engagement factor 1 can mean something totally different for each organization based on how you set up this task in Luminate. Another, I think, easier to digest example of tasks in Luminate are the TeamRaiser participant tasks. So what we've used this for is targeting TeamRaiser participants who haven't yet sent an email through their participant center. So we can use this TeamRaiser participant task, configure it to say, show me anyone who has sent 0 messages out of their participant center, group those people in a group in Luminate and send an email out to them with an encouraging statistic of how important it is or how valuable it is to send an email through your participant center. The next piece is
No, go ahead.
Go ahead,
I'm just going to keep going, because this next task is actually good, and we can kind of lump it all together and talk about why it's important, but keep going.
Cool. So the next one is campaign delivery filter. So we've been focusing a lot on data. Tasks really let you get into those little areas that complex queries would require a little bit more energy, makes it simple. Whereas campaign delivery filters also take something that sounds pretty complex and simplifies it. The delivery filters allow you to create robust queries using a single group, which just sounds crazy. But what it allows you to do is set up a group in Luminate for an email campaign. So using your whole group, we'll take an upcoming event as an example. And using that group, you can filter from that group certain constituents based on their engagement. So one example would be, we send an event invitation out to everyone. We want to resend that same email to anyone who hasn't opened the previous one, just to make sure it's fresh in their inbox. So you can use the same inclusion group that you did in the first one, and then using a campaign delivery filter, you can select the have not opened a campaign message to really target those people who received the first one but haven't opened it. And so we want to make sure that the next one's fresh in their inbox. And what this will do is allow you to send sophisticated strategies without having to rebuild groups or have suppression groups and worry about real-time data. So I think this one's pretty flexible. Another one that Carly and I were talking about earlier today is if you have like an emergency relief fund where you're really trying to drive a lot of action, you can use the have not completed an action delivery filter to continue to target people who have clicked into our previous emails through this campaign So they've read the message, they've opened it, they've clicked through, but they haven't quite completed that action. And we're really trying to, stress that action taken. So you can use the one that's up from the bottom, the second to the bottom delivery filter to target those people and really encourage that action.
I want to do another poll. But thanks for everybody who asked last time, because this is a really great question, and it's actually something that um, I talk about all the time is email resending. I love it. And so there's definitely some different schools of thought. In fact, Molly just sent around a great article recently about how, if you have an email that gets low engagement one time, it doesn't mean the whole thing necessarily needs to go in the trash can and you start over. What about considering a resend? So here's why. When I worked at my last organization, we ran a peer-to-peer program that we had to be sure that people read our communication. And I think this is definitely a big problem for everybody across the board. You're sending out emails, you're spending a lot of time creating these emails and really putting time, thought, resources, and effort into it. And you want to make sure it's seen. So I love the opportunity to basically do two things. One is resend to an audience member who maybe didn't see it. We're all very, very busy these days. Emails get lumped in and chopped out like really quickly in the world. I do it all the time, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I don't want to hear. It just might mean that the email, it's the wrong time of day, something like that. So considering resending emails is a fantastic re-engagement opportunity, and it uses your resources. The other thing that I love about this is that you can kind of use what I call psychographics. And so psychographics are a bunch of different things that you can pull, but audience behavior is a big, big part of this. So if somebody opens your email and clicks through it and doesn't take action, that doesn't mean that they saw something that was immediately like, ugh, I'm not going to do that. Maybe they got sidetracked. Maybe their kid came in and asked a question. Maybe their dog had to go for a walk. And so using a filter that says, hey, somebody has clicked through my email that shows interest, but they didn't make the action the first time around, send it again, see what happens, because maybe this time is it. So this opportunity is huge, and it's the ability to use, again, I'm going to say it, I'm a broken record, technology, smarter, not harder, but really to make the most out of the resources you have, the content you're creating, and knowing that just if it doesn't get a good open rate, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's not engaging to the audience. Try it again. That's what I say.
I love that. Yeah, and I think a really strong benefit to using the built-in features of Luminate is you get this real-time, inclusion suppression kind of magic going on behind the scenes. So I know when we schedule an email to go out tomorrow to everyone who hasn't opened today's email, we worry about if someone opens it tonight before the next mailing goes out, will they see a duplicate mailing? So all of these built-in features really let you amplify the tool's knowledge and reassures you that no one's getting hit twice or not getting hit at all. So I think that real-time aspect is really important. Hidden gem number 5 is one of my favorite. I'm hoping everyone in this room is familiar with it, but I'm really excited about the future of Blackbaud Checkout. So what is Blackbaud Checkout? It's a new type of donation form that allows you to accept Apple Pay and Visa Checkout and mobile wallet payments. I timed myself in making a gift. It took me less than 10 seconds to make a gift on my phone through my mobile wallet. Not only did it take less than 10 seconds, but it also used all of my information that I know is accurate, my updated address, my new last name, things like that, that's pulling directly from my phone. You do need to use Blackbaud Merchant Services in order to have access to Blackbaud Checkout. And the reason is because Blackbaud has done a really excellent job of kind of grouping together these cool features and making it really easy for you to build and access it, or build and present it to your donors and make it easier for them to give through their mobile phone. Just wanted to show you a front end example. of what the form looks like. There is a little bit of a limitation in terms of design, but we've created some really beautiful forms and really engaging forms for many organizations through the Blackbaud Checkout module. You do have access to monthly and one-time gifts. Apple Pay doesn't support monthly giving, so if a donor selects monthly donation, they won't see Apple Pay in their overlay, which I'll show you in a moment. We also have the ability to capture tribute information. So you're not necessarily limiting the amount of data you're collecting through the Blackbaud Checkout form, but more so just the quickness of being able to access your mobile wallet or Apple Pay and make the transaction relatively fast. So when a donor selects gives, oh, go ahead, Carly.
Nope, continue on. I'll come in later.
It's okay. I was just going to show this screen, which gives you the overlay of the payment options. Apple Pay is not visible on this capture, but if you are an Apple Pay supported device like an iPhone in Safari, you'll be able to see Apple Pay as your option here. Take it away, Carly.
Okay,
I'm so
excited to talk about Apple Pay that I just didn't even wait until you finish showing this hidden gem. And not just Apple Pay, y'all, but every kind of pay. This is a very, very clear example of meeting your donors where they are. They are giving mobily, they are reading your stuff mobily, and they can do things at a click of a button. I actually have 2 stories about this type of payment, not from the donation standpoint, but really from real life to show how important this is and how awesome. So I love Apple Pay so much now that if I hit a store that doesn't use Apple Pay, I'm like, ah, what? No, I'm just, you know, it's in our lives. People use it all the time. Donations are so simple as a click of a button or a little bit of a touch. For me, it's a touch on my fingerprint. And you know, donors are so used to using other types of payment services right now that this is a must do in order to kind of meet your audience where they are in the market. And also the mobile wallet feature allows you really to use it anytime you want. So my other story is I'm a great fundraiser, but I am not necessarily the most forward thinking on errands and stuff. And I had a bunch of errands to do one day and I left the house without my wallet. Just as it turns out, I also had 1 mile left of gas in my car. So without my mobile pay, I would have been really, really upset. But no, in all seriousness, like this really opens up a world of possibility for your donors that didn't necessarily exist before. And in addition to just giving the feature, the ease of donation is going to stick in their head. And so the next time you send them an email, say, hey, we need your support. Can you give right away? Yeah, they can, because it just takes 2 steps and it's on its way. So if this is a gem that I absolutely point out and love to share because it's important and it really, really provides that donor satisfaction that everybody is looking to give to their donors.
Yeah, it's really fun. So I've also been chatting with some folks over at Blackbaud, and I think that the roadmap for this checkout functionality is really bright. So we're hoping to see things like PayPal be added soon and really expand the use of this. I mentioned earlier that Zuri Group, we've worked with so many organizations to really amplify the use of out-of-box features in Luminate. I don't have an example up here, but I do have one that I'll share with everyone later. We took the Blackbaud checkout form and we transformed it into a true crowdfunding page. So we added a thermometer with a goal on top of it, and then tracking real-time donations that come in through that form against the total or against the goal that we're trying to reach. So it really gives donors that crowdfunding experience where their contribution lifts up our total raise and gets us 1 more inch towards our goal. And I think it's really fun. And just another example of how we've kind of taken something that's really strong in its own and made it even stronger. So this next one, I think is really important for keeping the, doing a health check in your Luminate Online environment and making sure that you're just keeping your space clean and healthy. So for those who are joining us today who are more of the back-end data folks, I think you'll really like this. For the front-end data people, please know it's just as important for you, but probably more so for the data element. But what is this? So changing records to an active in Luminate is the way that we can remove records. You can't actually delete a record, which can sometimes cause frustration. So if you have a donor who's like, please just, or a supporter who's like, please just don't reach out to me anymore. I don't want to be in your database, would be devastating. But we can't go in there and click delete like you could in your CRM or in a different system. So the way that we delete records in Luminate is by changing their status to inactive or removed. And by inactive or removed, I mean that's one category, inactive or removed. And so the way to do this can either be manually on a record. So locate the record and select the inactive or removed flag, which changes that person to deleted or removed. This makes it so if they land in, let's say, a marketing automation series, they will not receive a mailing. So we cannot reach anyone through the system who has a status of inactive or removed. Sounds a little intimidating, but the reason that this would be important is if you have otherwise dead email addresses that maybe have come up in your hard bounce reports multiple times, and you want to just clean out your house file, we might want to do an exercise where we flip some of those records or flip all of those records to inactive or removed through the mass or through a batch. So how do we do this? Rather than going one by one, let's say you have 100 of hard bounces that you're just kind of sick of seeing in your email reports and we really just want to stop trying to send to them. You can create a CSV file, and the details in the CSV file should be the email address that you want to flag as inactive. You could use constituent ID in place of email address, but email address I think is fine for this example. And then the second column you include in your import file is active status, and use the number 2. So 1 means active, 2 means inactive or removed. And in Luminate, you use the import-export functionality. So you go over to data management, import-export, and create a new constituent import. So just as you would a list of offline fundraisers or an email list that you want to upload into the system manually, you'll import the list. And when you import this list with the email address column and the active status 2 column, you'll see that anyone in that import has now been flagged as removed. It is good to note here that you cannot undo this, but I do think, as scary as it sounds, it's really helpful in making sure that you're not continuously sending to folks who have shown in our hard bounce reports.
Y'all just were watching the
Carly,
video.
I don't know if you had anything to add to this.
I do. I had breakfast delivered to me. This is really nice. While I was while you were chatting about this, but the real thing that I wanted to say here, not that I had breakfast delivered, but that this is fantastic because like going back to what we were saying at the beginning about data cleanliness, and for all you data folks out there that maintain this data inside of Luminate, data cleanliness is obviously very important. The health of your email files means money raised. And so I think, Margaret, you used a really great example when we were talking is, we have a client that we work with here. We actually do this to their hard bounce. And so, it's unfortunate. We always want to have very, very large constituent databases, and we want a lot of information. We want as much information as we can. But for a lot of times, like that is, it also means that you're going to have some opportunity to have bad data in your system. And so if you know that the data is not viable any longer, if you know that despite your best efforts, this is a person legitimately that might just not need communication anymore, this is a really, really great quick way to apply something across the board. And once again, making that technology work for you, work smarter. So that's that.
Yeah, I love that. And it kind of complements the admin dashboard that we spoke to a few slides back. So if you're getting visibility into your house file or your recent email sends and you're consistently seeing large hard bounce numbers, it would be best to remove those people from the system to see more, I think, positive data visualization. So it'd be fun to see that. All right, so that wraps up our hidden gems. I did mention before that we're running kind of a blog series as well, which will provide some more context to some different areas in Luminate that I think are really important that are otherwise, looked over, or some people don't even know they exist, those nooks and crannies. But we also wanted to take this opportunity to introduce you to our Zuri Group Labs Expert Access Program for Luminate Online. We've taken a lot of these different solutions or different areas of Luminate that we've just become experts in, and we're working with a number of clients on it, and we package it up into kind of a curated library of solutions for you. These solutions in combination with Zuri Group expertise, I think really allow you to amplify the use of Luminate. I find it as kind of like an educational tool for anyone who's managing the space, or even if you're not hands in the space, just knowing that these additional tools exist, and then using Zuri Group to really make it easy to implement them. Zuri Group, we pride ourselves on, we always say that we're an extension of your team, and I think this Expert Access Program is a really good example of that. If you envision yourself having an advanced developer at hand who can kind of implement some of these solutions that really amplify your fundraising efforts. We always say build relationships to raise more money, and that's kind of the gist here too with these prepackaged or organized solutions. So I encourage you to access our library, and this is a growing library. Some of these examples are up on the board here today. That crowdfunding with Blackbaud Checkout is one of my favorites. So adding a thermometer to a Blackbaud Checkout form. We do things like the donation tip jar, where you can ask your supporters to cover the transaction fees, which I think is really important. So we have a number of solutions already organized in here, and it's really intended to make things easy for you and affordable for you to really implement Luminate in the way that you deserve to and expect to. So please take a look, and I'd love your feedback on some of those. The library, we're planning to grow it over time. So organizations will come to us, and we basically taken our most frequent requests and said, if a handful of people or organizations are struggling with this or need this or excited about this, I'm sure there are more people. So that's really the driving factor behind a lot of these solutions. So as we continue to have those kind of conversations, whether it be with you or other organizations, we'll continue to expand the solutions or the tools in this library.
One of my
Now I'd like to kind of take it over to.
Oh, I was just
Go ahead, Carly.
I was going to dive in and actually say my favorite Luminate expert access of Luminate, which I think you mentioned it, but is that DIY evergreen fundraising model. And so, traditionally TeamRaiser is a event-based software, and really giving this the power, taking the power and turning it into the evergreen model for me is just really exciting to see. But all of the other stuff that's on Luminate Online is, expert access is amazing as well. And we have some
of these that we talked to today. I was just going to say some of the pieces that we talked to today, like the admin dashboard. If you need a little support in setting that up, or just strategizing in what data really should be on that forefront in Luminate, that's kind of what this package in here is intended for. As Carly mentioned, we do have some TeamRaiser pieces that we'll be launching soon as well, which I think will be fun. TeamRaiser is so complicated that I think it'll help everyone as they navigate that space. And then the Expert Access Program also has an arm of really consulting and making sure that not only do you have the technical tools, or that your Luminate Online environment is set up correctly or with best practices in mind, but we also want to make sure that you have folks like Carly available to really drive your fundraising efforts, ask questions about. We have marketing automation. What kind of series should we set up? There are some standard series that everyone should have, but then there are some series that'll be unique to your audience and your donor database and your organization. So there are some other areas of engagement in the program. So please check that out again on our website. We'll link that here. So we do have some questions. Before we dive into that, I just wanted to mention, we'll send out a little follow-up and a link to some of the curated library that I mentioned before that we've created, and in its current stance, it will expand. So continue to check back for updates. My personal email address is up here, so feel free to get in touch with me. Something that really sparked this entire series is people will often reach out to me on LinkedIn and ask for some free consulting or guidance for these basic Luminate how-tos. And so as I started to kind of get in touch with people through LinkedIn, I thought, why don't we start a group where we can kind of come together, collaborate, ask questions. I'm sure if you have a question about Luminate, if someone else probably has the same question, we have the answers. So creating a closed LinkedIn group where you can join us and just see kind of what problems people are experiencing and what solutions we've created to overcome those problems.
Oh, that's
Carly,
so
what questions do we
amazing.
have?
Yes, we've got lots of questions. First time, you want to do a shout
Oh,
out
gosh.
to Gabby. Gabby, you guys use a welcome series, and I'm so excited to see that. Vanessa was saying that they use their remove constituents, and so I'm
Yes.
really excited to see people are knowing the system all well. We had a question: is this webinar being recorded? The answer is yes.
Oh,
So if
good question.
you guys have anybody in your, if you're sitting here and you're being like, oh man, so and so should have sat on this webinar, no worries. We have it recorded and you can send it out to anybody in your organization. We'll make sure that you get that. But then here are the real meaty questions, Margaret. You really got the audience excited with those filters going and the resends. They go, the interweb went wild. So here's good questions. Do you have to run these delivery filters? So let's talk about that before sending an email message, or can you run the filters after the message has already been sent?
That's an excellent question. So these delivery filters are actually part of your send process. So short answer is you would run these as the message was going out or as you're scheduling the message. And the workflow would be create your email in your campaign. When it's approved, set up delivery and grab your inclusion group like you normally would. But because you now have some sort of exclusion group, you'll select delivery filters in the send configuration. So it's right in the frame where you're selecting your group to send the email to and the time you want to send your email. I do believe that we can generate these filters in more of a reactive report through queries. I know that email reporting is something that a lot of people struggle with, and we have to get really creative in order to hone in on some of these audiences. But the key here is that you're sending and reporting at the campaign level. So think about how your campaigns are structured. If you have one campaign for all of your emails, delivery filters won't really work until we kind of slice up your campaigns to be a little bit more meaningful. And we're pulling data from the campaign itself and not necessarily from the message itself. I hope that helps.
Yeah, great question answered. Here's another one, and I like this. And so the resending emails, resending emails automatically. So this is a great question. Is this something that you can do through the coaching emails, or is this only something you can do when you're in the email campaigns area?
So for the delivery filters, these specific ones are only for the campaign module, but coaching emails allow you to have other filters on them as well. I don't think they're as sophisticated as this one, but coaching emails are really intended for honing in on a certain event and really getting your message through and sending encouraging notes to those event folks. So there are some ways that we can build more robust queries in the coaching module that don't necessarily reflect these delivery filters, but there are some options there.
Yeah,
I can
that's
send
great.
that in the follow-up email too.
That'd be awesome. I know who asked that question. And so I can send that, we can send that to them directly. And also, I will say this is definitely a time to push that, if this is something, if you guys, are using coaching emails, but you think, oh, wow, maybe we can make this into a larger email campaign that we have that lives in Luminate, please reach out to Margaret and I. We'll be more than happy to strategize, what the email is, where it should sit, and how best to make it work in your system. One last question, again about the filters, Margaret. You really stole the show with the filters and the automatic resends and the queries. So when you send out those automatic email resends, can you customize when they are sent, or is it just automatically once Blackbaud decides you hit resend and it goes?
That's a great question. So you can schedule these messages using delivery filters to go out anytime you'd like. And the beauty of this is if you want to use one of these delivery filters, which is kind of creating your complex query in the back end, it will run the query as soon as you want to schedule the mailing. So if you select, for example, send this message to anyone who has not opened a message from this campaign, and we configure the message or we schedule it to go out 3 days from now, because we're just that ahead of the game. 3 days from now, the system will actually run that query to make sure that it's capturing only real-time data, and then send the mailing whenever you've defined the send time and date as.
That's awesome. Oh, well, those are our questions for right now. So I think, Margaret, the best thing to do is just push please email Margaret. She's fantastic if you have any absolute specific questions. But that LinkedIn group is going to be the best place to be getting constant information from us. So join our LinkedIn group. Margaret, anything else to say before we end the webinar for the day?
No, I think that's good. The LinkedIn group, like Carly said, it's something that we're just trying. I get pinged a lot on LinkedIn, which is fun. I like to meet new people and answer questions, but I think we can kind of create a central space for any of those small or large customizations. If you're not using Luminate and you have questions, I belong to a similar group for the Razor's Edge, and it's actually on Facebook, and I'm learning stuff all the time without even asking questions of my own, just kind of seeing what people are bouncing around. And I thought, I couldn't find anything like this for Luminate, so may as well create it, and I thought LinkedIn would be a really good space. So we'll send out these links to everyone, so you don't have to frantically write down the characters, but I really hope to see you in there. And then feel free to get in touch with me if you have any questions. If you guys want to expand or for us to add anything to the Expert Access Library, that's really where we look to you to tell us. We can only guess what the problems are or what we hear frequently, but if there's anything specific, we're happy to do it.
Awesome. Molly, Margaret, thank you guys so much. And thanks to all of our attendees for sticking with us. Have a great day. I hope this excites you as much as it excites us here at Zuri Group. And gosh, we really hope we get to chat with you soon about your Luminate online needs. So have a great day, everyone.
Thanks for your time. Looking forward to chatting.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks, Carly. Thanks, Molly.
Thanks, everybody.